Good evening. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I'm happy to begin the school committee meeting for March 24th, 2026. We're very happy to be here at North Falmouth. That means we get to see kids. We always love to see the kids. If we could start out by hearing our mission and vision statement. Chris, would you read that for us, please?
Falmouth Public Schools mission. The Falmouth Public Schools creates world-class student learning experiences. Our Clippers are empowered to pursue their goals with curiosity, integrity, and resiliency. Falmouth Public Schools vision. Clippers are creative, inquisitive, and engaged learners who participate in their community as socially responsible citizens. Clippers effectively communicate and solve problems that impact the world around them.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, so I'd like to make the recording statement. This meeting of the Falmouth School Committee is being recorded. In accordance with Massachusetts open meeting law, anyone who wishes to make an audio or video recording of this meeting must first notify the chair. Please raise your hand and make your presence known if you intend to record the meeting. This policy does not cover parents who may be here to see their kids and want to record it. That's not included in this statement. Go right ahead, come up close, walk in front of us, we don't care. I'm going to make the other public comment announcement along with this. Public comment will be limited to 20 minutes. Members of the public are welcome to speak during public comment. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes in length. Due to open meeting law, the committee cannot respond to or act on public comment. Additional comments and feedback can be submitted by email to Falmouth, to schoolcommittee@falmouth.k12.ma.us. Okay. On that note, we will hear from our student advisory, Bella.
So recently, or this past Saturday, we had a science fair. So it was at the high school and all 4 grades, and then even some younger kids brought their projects, so it was awesome to see. And then the seniors were there selling tickets for our senior auction. So we got a lot of participation with that, and we had the tickets there, and then we have our online portion which runs through the 29th. So that's our biggest fundraiser we have, and it supports graduation and then senior week at the end of the year, which includes our trip to Fenway Park, which will be awesome, our Red Sox game, and then other senior activities. And then this week at the high school, MCAS is happening, so today and tomorrow for all sophomores, and that's the English one. And then for English and art classes, actually, we did a collaboration. So we did poetry and art. It's called Shot Heard around Surf Drive, and we took a field trip in the fall, both classes, and we learned about the war and what Falmouth had to do in its history. So we did poems and art together, and then that's actually a book. It's published, so you can see all of them together. And then we have our reception for that tomorrow, 5:30 to 7:30 at Coffee O. So that'll be awesome to see. And then they're also for sale. And then prom is coming up May 9th, so all's rolling on that. I believe the theme is Ancient Rome or Ancient Greece, so that'll be fun. And then for theater, Legally Blonde is also happening end of May, I believe. So all their performances are really great, so I'm excited to see that. And then spring sports games start next week, but teams have been made and all those are underway.
Thank you very much. A lot of activity.
Yes.
This time of year especially, yeah. So good luck to those sophomores on their MCAS.
Yeah, freshmen.
Sonia, is it freshmen or just sophomores who've taken?
Sophomores.
It's just, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said freshmen as well. Okay.
Okay. Well, who's ever taken it, good luck. I'm glad I don't have to. Next.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bella. Next on our agenda will be a presentation of North Falmouth School highlights.
Excellent. Come on up, come on up. Hi, nice straight line.
Perfect. Well, good evening. Welcome to North Falmouth, Principal Rebecca Vieira. I'm very excited to introduce you to our Regal Sieglitz robotics team, which is a little bit of a full circle moment for us. If you recall, last time you were here, we were on that side of the room and had a presentation from the high school robotics program. And Mr. Irving, one of our fourth grade teachers, is part of that full circle moment because he not only has a huge interest in robotics, he's got the personal connection also with a Regal Seagull as well with the high school program. So just really excited to be able to present to you tonight our first fourth grade team. And they are going to take you through a little bit of what they experienced through their first robotics competition. So it's a two-part presentation. So we're going to start with these people here, and then we will turn our attention over to that wonderful board that we brought in. So here we go.
Okay. So in the innovation project, we worked very hard. It was a 5-minute judge presentation. We went through a lot of choices for the project.
Our problem was that divers can't see underwater without using a flashlight, which isn't the best for the ocean and underwater animals.
Our solution was a bioluminescent diving suit. If the person moves, the light moves with it, and it's way better than a dull flashlight.
For the judging, we went into a room, we talked about the innovation project and what we studied about. They judged us, and we had a lot of fun.
Each round for the robotics competition was 2.5 minutes. There were 13 missions, as you can see on the board, and we did about 3 missions per round. And to practice, it was pretty hard. Controlling the robots was also pretty hard. We had to work together to complete all the missions. We had some competition because our teams are also really good.
We got second place in the innovation project, and we were the youngest team in the competition.
Go ahead, can you just say something? Oh, okay. Now we have to celebrate that. Sorry. So, do we want to go over to our second phase here? So, some friends are going to show us a little bit of the mission board and what that maybe look like.
So, first mission is Lovell, and yeah.
Let's just walk over there, guys. Come on, get free. This ain't shy. Come on. So they got points for each mission they solved.
Parents, if you want to stand up and get closer, you can.
No, they can't.
They can.
Just us.
No, you can if you want to.
Any
A little bit to the, a little bit more.
That's fine for you.
There.
Oh, yeah.
So there were 13 missions, we were able to solve about 5 or 6 in the 3 months, 2.5 months that we did it. So we had help from one of the high school's mentors came down and helped us, which was really important because I don't think, before he came, I don't even think we were at 2. Yeah, I think we had 1.
I feel like every mission we did that, but only like one reliable one.
Right, it was a big help.
What is the map?
So there's a theme, the theme this year was archaeology. So those are archaeological missions, and then the theme for the innovation project was a problem that archaeologists deal with on a daily basis, and they pick the underwater archaeology as our bioluminescent wetsuit.
Very cool.
Yeah, we went through a lot of ideas, so.
This is awesome. Thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, so all this is part of our presentation, and this is our trophy. Feel free to stickers, and this is all, those are from the.
And I love the shirt.
Robotics, what they sent us.
What's your name? Your name?
No. Oh, actually, Lori wants something else. I know she wants.
Right there.
You can also see it, it was this.
It was.
You can also see it on.
I forgot you want some fudge or something.
I like it.
They're great. I love the shirt.
I like it. Thank you. Sure.
I'm pretty happy about it.
Well, thank you very much for, being part of the process.
Thank
As what you saw for the students tonight, there's been a lot of trial and error, there's been a lot of learning. I think that every single Clipper trait they have been able to exemplify, and we're really proud of this team and how far they've come in such a short amount of time. And we're really hoping that this is just the start of something that continues to grow and catch on through the district so that we can infuse that momentum and enthusiasm for robotics going all the way to the high school. So, I think this is just the very first time that you're meeting the Regal Seaglets, and you'll see more of them. But they are prepared for any questions, if anyone had any follow-up question.
Okay,
No, do you
Katrina?
want to go around or?
Oh,
Sorry.
I usually go around, yeah. So Margaret, do you have anything? Katrina?
I was wondering, did you self-select to be on the team, or how did you end up on the team?
Mr. Irving gave out flyers to us and asked if we wanted to join the team. And everyone here said, we'll join.
They had to be able to, we met on Tuesday mornings before school and Thursday afternoons for 2 hours after school, so they had to be able to meet the schedule to attend all the practices.
And for parents.
Right?
Right. I have a 2-part question. You guys ready? What grade are you all in, starting from this side?
Fourth.
Are they all 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
There's
Yeah, I know.
other kid named Lovell, he's in 5th grade, but he
Yeah.
comes from Martha's.
Okay, and then my second question is, who designed your shirt?
We all have part in it.
Well, like every person that did the innovation project, and then we had this other really good art teacher. She's called Miss Emerson in 2nd grade, and she finished to design our shirts, and this is the final product.
I like it, I like how your names are on the back.
Yeah, it's very
Nice,
nice.
good job.
Yes.
I just want to compliment you not only on your amazing technical skills, but on your impressive communication skills by telling us this. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Sue?
Congratulations, and I'm wondering, Mrs. Vieira, if they could introduce themselves.
Oh, absolutely, right? Go ahead.
I'm Jade. I'm Mason. I'm Matthew. I'm Molly. I'm Caroline. I'm Angelina. I'm Simone.
I'm Joelle. And I'm Go.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of you kids in the future.
Chris?
Thank you all very much. And I was wondering, what was your favorite part about being part of this team? Yes, go ahead.
I think probably the part where we were like picking the innovation project and like making the soup and stuff.
I really liked when we went to the competition. It was really fun, and there were a lot of other teams there.
I liked that one day we had nothing done, and then the next day we had like everything.
It came together.
I like that feeling too.
Yeah?
That was my question?
Yeah.
That was- No, you guys are awesome. Thank you for sharing it with us. We really appreciate it.
I just wanted to commend you on your patience, because I could see you remained patient whenever the thing didn't quite go as planned. You kept your cool, you said, okay, you made an adjustment, and it worked. And so did you spend time, I imagine, programming each thing that it did? And you were patient with that too, because it came out successful. So, thanks.
If you would have seen them in September, it was a different story.
Yeah.
They grew along the way. It was amazing to see them progress, into October and November as the pressure got more to get ready for our competition. They were really able to get a lot accomplished.
Very good.
Great work.
Great job, guys.
Yes, final thank you to advisor Mike Urban. Another fourth grade teacher here who is not able to make it tonight, but they are really the inspiration and spearhead of this amazing project and reached out and have already connected these kids with some great unique experiences. So like I say, I think it's the first you're going to see them and not the last. So great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is public comment. I don't have the list. Okay, I believe Megan was on there first. I saw her name when I came in. I don't know if there's any after.
Oh, I gotta do this thing today. Yep, I know how to do it.
We've learned from Megan, we start after they give their name and address. Because it's not fair if somebody has a long address and someone has a short address. No, it just gives everybody time to get acclimated, so that's good. Thank you, Mrs. Reed.
Madam Chair.
Hold on a minute, I'm gonna figure this out.
All right.
I'm ready now.
I'm Megan Zottoli, I live on Carriage Shop Road. I'm here to speak about the proposed change to policy KI, specifically the idea of giving the superintendent full authority to determine who can access our schools. I want to start by saying that I fully support strong safety measures. Protecting students and staff should always be a top priority. But safety policies must be balanced with transparency, fairness, and accountability. The model language from MASC was updated in August of 2025, and the timing of this proposal, now in March of 2026, raises serious concerns for me. As written, the policy gives one individual broad authority to decide whether a parent can or cannot enter a school building, with no clear balances, checks, or appeal process. That is an extraordinary amount of power without oversight. I'm especially concerned because we've already seen how this authority could be used. In my own experience, I was inappropriately told that I had to sign an NDA just to visit a public school. I did not need to sign this, and I knew to refuse. This demonstrates how access can be restricted in ways that feel retaliatory or silencing. This policy opens the door to that kind of misuse. I'm also concerned about the process. At the March 16th policy meeting, multiple concerns were raised at the last committee meeting, yet those concerns were not reflected in the subcommittee meeting. That undermines trust, not just in this policy, but in the process itself. Parents are not the enemy. We are stakeholders. We are partners in our children's education. Policies should not create barriers between families and schools. They should build trust and collaboration. I'm asking you tonight to pause this vote, revisit the language, add clear safeguards, transparency, and a defined process for accountability. Please take the time to consider the concerns of parents and your fellow committee members before moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Okay. The next person who would like to speak is Stacy Boudreau.
Hi, Stacy Boudreau, Cold Spring Lane. I just wanted to come today to actually say thank you. Some of you may know we have a new project that we're trying to do at T-Ticket School. And I'm blown away by the amount of support the community and all of you have shown to us for this project. Many of you have donated, many of you have showed up, many of you shown up. Many of you have donated raffle prizes, bought raffle tickets, some of you even won raffle prizes. It's really brought our community together. We've had hundreds of people express interest in our project and work towards getting this done. And I just hope that we can continue moving forward. It's also brought about some old relationships. I've been around for a very long time. This is my 34th year teaching. Always teaching the youngest students in our little baby clippers. One of my former baby clippers right here, was one of our biggest fundraisers to date. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for joining in, and please keep us rolling so we can keep playing.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay. So that was the people who signed up to speak. We appreciate your...
Yeah, I forgot to sign the sheet, but I have a public comment as well, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. Brandon Etzel, Old Barnstable Road. Short and sweet. I just want to direct everybody to Falmouth Public School Policy Manual, page 17, that says, quote, "The school committee therefore affirms and declares its intent to maintain two-way communication with citizens of the community. The public will be kept informed of the progress and problems of the district, and citizens will be urged to bring their aspirations and feelings about their public schools to the attention of this body, which they have chosen to represent them in the management of public education." I bring that up because of the obvious, repeated every meeting, we hear parents talk about the lack of communication with, this whole body. So that every time you don't do that, you're basically violating your own school policy. But what was more important was page 19, which says, quote, "It shall be a violation of this policy for any member of the school community to engage in any form of discrimination, including harassment and retaliation, or to violate any other civil right of any member of the school community. We recognize that discrimination can take a range of forms and can be targeted or unintentional. However, discrimination in any form, including harassment and retaliation, will not be tolerated." And I bring that up because of Katrina Nevin, who both in the December 16th meeting and in the February 10th meeting, the irony there being that that was no Guff week, has repeatedly said that several members of this committee basically have been bullying her in terms of her outspoken opinions. And last meeting, what we saw was when she brought up the DESE scores. We spent, 5 minutes talking about how Falmouth has slid underneath most of the other Cape schools in all of our DESE scores. And yet it took you 15 minutes to vote for 2 members to be on a community board for building because you couldn't figure out that had everybody just picked 2 names when they voted, you would have that over in 5 seconds. it was lighthearted and humorous, but that took 15 minutes, and you can only give 5 minutes to the fact that our schools are not kind of living up to standards. So I'd just like everybody to keep that in mind going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Okay. The next item on the agenda will be an update from the superintendent.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce someone to everyone. Heather, can you join me? Hey, folks. So this is Heather Rivera. She will be the new Sharon. So she's the executive assistant to the superintendent, and obviously will be the support to the school committee. So I wanted you to meet her face to face. I know that I've shared that information with you. Currently, she is the principal secretary at Mullen Hall. And everyone raves. We are so lucky she's going to be with us. And she has a daughter in Lawrence and a son at Upper Cape Tech, so in high school. And just still amazes me because I remember your daughter when she was in Mullen. So anyway, she's been with us. She's been in that role for 5 years. And before that, she started at Mullen Hall as a teaching assistant. And I think it's really special. She was helping out in many different ways at the school, and then the position came open and she applied for that, and now she's going to be moving into our office. So I know she's going to miss the kids, but now she's going to see kids in all 7 schools. So
Sounds tonight, that was
Yeah, so if you have anything to add, I'm just looking forward to everything ahead. I have big giant shoes to fill, but I will work hard, and I look forward to being here and part of the school committee with you guys. Nice to meet you all. Nice to meet you. When's your official start? July 1st, my official start date. But I'm sure I'll be. She's transitioning in quite earlier. Officially. Sharon's lucky to be with us until 2:30. Yes, they will be working together. As well as we've already hired the principal secretary for Mullen Hall, and so they'll be transitioning as well. And the next step is, which was also internal, so that position will be posted, and so we're working our way, and we'll get there. Yes. Thank you.
Well, maybe we'll get some decent minutes now. We'll watch it, Terry. Yeah.
So I have a couple other updates, thank you. And I wanted to mention the T-Ticket Playground. I feel like every meeting I'm probably going to be giving a shout out because it is absolutely amazing how the communities come together. I run into people that are just so proud to actually be donating to it. I think, as Stacy said, it really is bringing community together. The spaghetti dinner and raffle last night was absolutely amazing. And so I checked in on the school today about how much, where they are, and they're up to 75,000 now. So that is absolutely amazing. There was also, got to just give a little shout out, there was a lunch, they did a lunch fundraiser, and so one of the substitutes had made the chicken marsala. It was just delicious anyway. So that was good too. So they're very creative in all the fundraisers they're doing. I'd like to also say that Representative David Vieira had, in the Fair Share budget, was able to raise or get approved $50,000 for the T-Ticket Playground. So I just wanted to make a public announcement on that because that's really huge. And now it'll go in April to the Senate, and we'll see, what happens there. But I think that was really special. So just everyone really is coming together.
Awesome.
To make this happen. So yeah, that's good. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as we are moving forward with the timeline for the MSBA and the Lawrence School renovation, the select board continues to make appointments to the school building committee, as that is their authority. And so a couple weeks ago, they had named 4 people. And last night they had named 4 more, which includes the 2 school committee members that you had elected last time. So Margaret and Susan will be on that, as well as Paul Dart will be wearing 2 hats on the committee. He'll have the budget hat, and then there are requirements from MSBA. People have to represent certain roles. So he'll have the budget and the school building maintenance piece of it. So the school building, just how we take care of them. So that's good. And then Heather Goldstone was selected as the representative of the authority to build school buildings in our town. So according to the charter, there's just layers here. According to the charter, the select board is the authority that can build a school building. And so she will wear that hat. And as I had said before, Doug Brown was selected as the select board representative, as well as the town manager, the superintendent, and the school principal are required, and so those were selected. They had wonderful interviews last night. There were 7 interviews for various positions. There were several there that I had the architect, engineering, construction, design work. So they did the 7 interviews. They did not name the members to the committee yet. They're going to do that, I believe, scheduled for April 13th. And so we continue to get members for that committee. So just wanted to confirm that. We started our site visits. So we've asked staff members from both Morse Pond and Lawrence, as well as, parents, if they would like to go on a site visit. We're visiting, right now we have 5 visits planned. We're looking at either middle schools that are being recently renovated or new builds, so that we can just kind of see and get in mind what we like and what we don't like. The tours, we had one this week on Monday, and the tour was very nice, the 2 buildings. And you learn a lot on the tours. So we had a group of 6 on that one, and I think another one's coming up next week, and Sandy, I think you're on that one, next one. So we're just kind of sharing, everyone's going to go on it. So, and so we will be asking members of the school building committee that, if they want to take one of the visits, I can go on one of the visits too. So just, we'll get the dates out, because we're just still kind of forming and getting things together. And Madam Chair, that concludes my update.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we will have a budget update, and our hearts are already aflutter at the colors, because that's what this is for, right?
Chairman Deros.
Yes.
If I could, I want to ask Dr. a question, but if I could, because it's on the agenda, there are people here from the T-Ticket Playground Committee, if they had anything to say, could I ask for that?
As much as I would like to, our protocol is that we, I was gonna say something out myself, which I should have, which is Dominique, I hope you have like a whole bunch of extra pairs of shoes, because you wasn't running around so much, so,
It's not
thank you.
just me,
But,
plenty.
yeah. Okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
So I also have a question, but it ties in with the budget, so I'll wait to ask my question regarding the playground after you give your update.
Sure.
Okay. So are you ready to go?
Ready to go?
Thank you,
All
Paul.
right, so you have at the table 2 handouts. One is the January and one is February year-to-date. So we'll just focus on the February year-to-date because it incorporates the January. We just missed a couple meetings with the snowstorms, et cetera. But let me just give you sort of a high-level overview for a moment. In March, now that the contract's been ratified with the FAA, there's going to be some adjustments. So we'll give a lengthier budget discussion in April as we catch up to now that the increases have been formalized. So there's a sort of a one-time adjustment that goes through to carry up for the first 2 months of the contract wasn't yet in place. But with that said, overall, we're in great shape. We're good with, to date, we've spent, out of our budget of $61,424,000, we've either encumbered or expended $35,870,000. We have $25,554,000 to go for the remainder of the year, both salaries and non-salaries expenses. No big surprise within the budget in the year-to-date. The areas that we tend to overrun right now are in building maintenance costs. They're up about $159,000 over what the budget was. It's one of our targets going forward is to increase that much, but we do a lot of work that gets charged to the building maintenance in the summer. It also, things break down throughout the year. It's hard to anticipate that, and you can have a heavy cost. The generator broke down at the high school. We had to order a $10,000 part that day to get it back online in this recent storm. So that gives you a sense of how things can come up. But overall, we are in great shape with the budget. Our out-of-district tuition is another item that we've talked about a lot. We were expecting about $3.4 million in out-of-district tuitions. We'll probably be slightly under that right now. The total will probably be in the 3.2 or just over $3.2 million range. So we're in good shape there. We're over our budget on the transportation side for out-of-district students, but we anticipated that. Again, overall, we're in great shape. We'll have some more details for you coming at the end of March. We're just making these adjustments now, so you'll get a flavor from where we'll end up at the end of this month. All right?
Thank you, Paul. So start on this side with questions, Kelly?
Yeah, just a couple ones. I'm just wondering if there's anything in particular for East and T-Ticket
East
were in the red.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that's driving that? And then I guess the converse of that is that Morse Pond is doing rather well with unspent funds. So is there anything?
Yeah, and you're gonna see that in one case. What drives the non-salary side is typically the building maintenance side. And so, for example, in the East Falmouth, we did early work this school year we did a floor project for one of the rooms to get ready for an extra pre-K classroom that we had to do it quickly. We had already allocated the money under the articles, so we expensed it. We did some painting work in East Falmouth also. And then we did some outside concrete work. So that's why you see East Falmouth in red. In the case of T-Ticket, largely that was a very expensive project with the fire alarm system. We had problems with the fire alarm early on, and we were ending up by replacing all of the sensors throughout the building to try to find the ones that were causing an issue. And so it was a very expensive project, almost $24,000 as we went through that whole cycle with that fire alarm. So those are two examples that kind of drive those numbers in red beyond the normal maintenance repair work that's done in these buildings.
Can I have a follow-up? It's related. So I'm just, my only other concern is just because these are running in the red, I mean, stuff still breaks. So we're still, even though that budget line, we're just gonna have to move money from someplace else because stuff is still gonna need maintenance, right?
That's right, that's right. And we have the flexibility within in the overall budget to do that. There are unspent funds and there's, close to 1,000 lines of budget that ultimately sum up. And so there'll be unspent line. I'll give you an example. Utilities, despite the fact that our gas costs will be probably $50,000 higher, given the cold of this winter, our electricity costs are gonna be almost $100,000 lower. So the net of the two is we'll have $50,000 remaining that helps to offset our higher maintenance costs and so on.
Yeah, I just wanted you to address it because I pointed out that we were in the red and I don't want people in those buildings to think that nothing's gonna get fixed just because we're in the red, because I know we'll find a way.
And it's typical, if you have and I'm glad you brought up the point, if you have a big repair job that happens one building, there's another building that hasn't used up its funds and has gone through the year without event. And so we reallocate throughout the year at this time. We don't necessarily change our budget targets, but we reallocate amongst that and amongst other expenses that aren't as high as they may have been anticipated at the beginning of the year. So, but the overall picture, we are in good shape. And that, you know, if you looked at last year, I was more worried, given this sharp increase in out-of-district tuitions, and I kept forecasting that. And this year, we're very close, but under where we were forecasting, so we're in good shape. I don't see any surprises here coming down the road for the end of the year. Actually, I feel quite good.
Thank you.
Chris?
Nope, I'm all set.
Sue?
Thanks.
I apologize if I missed it, but could you just clarify for me why some of the salaries are encumbered and others
Yeah,
aren't?
it's interesting. There are certain employees that are not direct employees. They are hired as contractors, especially in the speech field.
Okay.
And by that nature, they come through a third-party service. We have to encumber that. So that's what that encumbers on the.
Okay, thank you.
Brenda?
Yes, thank you, Paul. I don't have a question related to salaries, but I do have a question related to budget. Can you just educate me, if for example, during the blizzard, if a tree had fallen on the roof of one of the schools, and that was an emergency repair, how would we procure funding to make that repair?
Well, in the case of, I'll give you an example. Here, at this building several years ago, we had pipes that froze over the weekend. And we have our own insurance program that now kicks in for anything above the $10,000. And then we then make the repairs based on that and charge it back to the insurance reimbursement. So you're working with the insurance company simultaneous to getting the repairs done.
The reason that I ask is there any similarity between that situation and what happened with the playground at T-Ticket?
No, one is, the T-Ticket playground is 28 years old, and it's not done by fault of nature. It is done because it's the playground itself was 28 years old. You can't submit an insurance claim on that. It wasn't hit by a tree, it wasn't hit by a car, it was deteriorated out of natural wear and tear.
And just one last thing. Does the district have a contingency fund that is available for unexpected expenses?
No, we work within the budget. So we have the funds that we outlined at the time of the budget. We have our major budget. And as I said, for normal wear and tear on these buildings, we're about $159,000. Our maintenance budget is $1,053,000. That does not count salaries. That's just general maintenance on these buildings. So we have we're $159,000 over that budget. We have our grant programs that fund our educational programs or fund our out-of-district tuitions, like the 240 grant, the Title I grants, and we have school choice funds. And school choice funds you can't use for capital projects. You can only use for general education purposes. So those are the available funds to us, along with circuit breaker, which is again dedicated to special needs out-of-district tuition and transportation. So that's what we have. So, a T-ticket project was, the estimate is $388,000. To put that into a budget, try to do that in a given budget would be very difficult. We would have to rearrange the budget to do. 84% of our budget is salaries. So, our total non-salary budget is $9.9 million in rounded numbers. So that would be a big expense to try to move that into the budget. Plus, it's a capital item. It's by definition a capital item. And we try to do that through the capital program of the town. We also use the, in the case of the playground, we use the CPC if they have available funding to help on those type of projects.
All right, Mike?
I have a question for you, Paul. It's gonna be a curveball. You ready for it? Remember years ago, we talked about that money for the Lawrence principal? There was like an amount, it was like $1.5 million or whatever it was.
That's right.
What happened with that account? Because, I don't know the answer, but wouldn't that free up some money to move other places?
That's been used as part of our ongoing, it's already incorporated into the budget. So the principal, yeah, it's so we don't, in the dollar amount that we approve for the budget, we haven't been at the high school principal's salary on the budget. It's charged to that fund.
That's all I can think of right now.
Could I just stop here, and some people who can't keep budget items, I mean, I know from your father, maybe you could keep an eyeball on things that the man on the street might forget or be fuzzy on. Could you just tell us about that principal fund again, quick?
Sure.
Did other people remember? I mean, would it help? Yeah.
Years back. A large family.
Hundreds of years back.
Years, a long time ago. I think, is it 1901 or something?
Yeah.
It was
about that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. The Lawrence family donated a fund, set aside money to be used to pay the high school principal salary at the time. And that money has been accruing since then. And then the town, and unbeknownst to the district, because we don't see those accounts. It doesn't show up on our software for the town. But essentially, that money has been accrued interest and earnings since that time, and went from, $10,000, don't hold me to that number, it was a pretty small amount, and grew to about $1.1 million. And then as our budget grew, this town was examining all of the trust funds or monies available. They came upon that fund, and we then used it within the budget for the principal salaries.
Thank you. Only one question?
That's it for
I'm
the.
shocked, but okay. Katrina?
Thank you for the update, Paul, and I'm really glad to hear that things are looking good and you're not expecting unexpected.
Yeah.
You just raised a question though when you were talking earlier about school choice funds. I think I heard you saying they cannot be used for capital projects, only for, did you say educational services?
Yeah, general budgets, but it's really for the entire population, of benefit for the population of students.
And so I'm just trying to remember, was there a meeting in January or sometime where it was mentioned that we had paid legal fees out of the school choice account? So how does that
It's still because it's still for the benefit of,
Okay, so that falls under the umbrella of.
you have wide discretion within that term, to expense to school choice. The real limiting factor is capital projects.
Okay.
I just won't.
That's it, thank you.
Margaret?
Oh, I think my questions have been answered, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is a first read on change to the 2026-27 school calendar. So Lori?
All right, so if you'll remember, we had an agreement with the FEA, our Falmouth Educators Association, that we would add a half-day for additional parent-teacher conferences. So if you look at the calendar, we do already have one day for next school year, and that was in December 8th. And so we've added the day in November, and working with the FEA, we came up with the best day being November 17th, so that Tuesday. So we're limited to Tuesdays because it's the early release days. And so that's, to change off of that would be a change for parents. So making it important to do that. We wanted to leave the first full week. The next week, we were concerned having a half day before the holiday. And so, and then in the agreement, if you'll remember, we were not to have them during the Thanksgiving week. So we came to the conclusion that November 17th. So that's the only change to this calendar, but I am bringing it back to you so that first read, we'll vote on it next meeting. That way I can get the information out to the parents that there is just that one slight change for next year.
Okay, so questions, starting in the middle part. Brenda?
No questions.
Sue?
No, I'm all set.
Chris? No. No? Margaret? No.
As long as the FEA is happy, then we're happy.
Yeah. No, okay. Thank you, Lori. So, again, that's the first read. We'll vote on it at the next meeting. We also have a first read on the next year's, after that, calendar.
So when I came here, I started the putting out 2 years at a time that gave parents as well as our staff plenty of notice for any plans that they would like to make. So I'll just go through, even though you'll see that Labor Day is on the 6th of September, we did make a decision with the FEA that we still wanted to go after. If you'll remember, we talked about going before Labor Day the first time, but it will be next year, and that's a pilot. And since we do not know how that will go, we made the decision to keep it after Labor Day. Let's see how, and then we'll see in the future after we get feedback from staff and parents on that. So, so we start on September 7th, the Monday after, or the Tuesday after Labor Day. You will see that we placed the other, to continue the second parent-teacher conference day would be an early release on November 16th, but it is placed in the same place, that's that Tuesday. And in December, we marked the 23rd as a half day for staff and students. That's right before, that's been pretty typical. And then the end date, which is really the only other thing here, is if you look at, it would be the 21st would be the last day, half day. If there's snow days, it would be the half day would then, anywhere in between the 21st and the 28th, which is typical. We have to build in those five snow days afterwards. So everything else on the calendar is mirrors what we've done in the past.
Margaret, question? Trina?
If Melissa would hear, she would say, yay! So I'll say it for her. And I was just wondering if you could just explain to me why the end of school date for that year is 2 or 3 days. I mean, I understand where the days fall on holiday and weekends and stuff, is that maybe just why it's so much later in June for the snow day?
So starting on the Labor Day, which has been some of that discussion, and,
Yeah.
you know, is that it's the 7th, which is late,
Right.
right? It just pushes
So
at
it's
the end
just
of the
much
year.
later
and it's-
start than
Yeah,
the
it
year
is. It just, every now and then, that's exactly what happens. It pushes to the later part of June.
That's it, thank you.
Mike?
No, I have no questions, thank you so much.
Okay, no.
Go ahead, no.
I think we're good. I was just looking at it.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Whatever your name is, yes. Chris? Okay, so that was also a first read, and thank you for the information. Next will be some policies to consider. We have first reads on administrating, excuse me, I'm a college graduate, so figure it out, but medicine to students. So Lori, would you speak to that?
Yeah, so this is the first read. It's been revised to reflect recently amended Massachusetts Department of Public Health regulations. And we've met the subcommittee and we've discussed it. You can see the changes, the recommendations, everything in red, highlighted in yellow. Our changes, so you can see what is different there. But it's with the strikeout is what we're suggesting to take out. So the subcommittee did review it and made the decision to bring this forth as is for the school committee to consider.
Starting with this side, Kelly.
I just have a quick one. So in the second paragraph, it talks about approving the procedures that the school committee needs to, so is that something that will then come later?
Yes,
After this,
then
there'll be a second
as soon
piece?
as you, our wonderful Sandy Capson-Bellis is already looking at writing those procedures for us.
Okay, thank you.
But yes, we want this approved first, make sure there's no changes, and then she will bring back the procedures for our review.
Thank you.
No. Mike?
I just had one question. A lot of this stuff, is this coming from DESE?
This is actually the Department of Public Health.
Okay. For both the physical restraints and the medication?
No, just the medication.
Medication,
Yeah.
okay.
Just a level.
And then the physical restraints, some of these changes were DESE recommendations, or this came out of policy?
Are we talking about that one yet?
No, can we stick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we just stick to one? Yeah.
Then that's my only question for that.
We'll come back to that.
Thank you.
Katrina?
I don't have any questions on that one.
No, okay. We were lucky to have our school physician and our head nurse there who helped explain some of the things, and it was good because we're not, medical experts, so it was really good to have them there. They added a lot to help us. I forget exactly why we have to make the decision, why the school committee ends up doing it, but anyway. Okay, so if you have questions, but you didn't think of them yet, please contact the policy committee. So Melissa's not here, so let's direct them to her. You're not here, I'm only kidding. Just.
Actually, she would appreciate that one probably.
Yeah, this is a perfect one.
Yes, it is.
It is a perfect one for
I didn't
Melissa.
even think you were joking. I thought that was
Yeah. I think I'm kind of tired tonight, so I'm punchy. I'm sorry. Okay. The next one is physical restraint. Lori?
Again, there's a few updates to this policy, recommended updates, as you can see. I don't want to put Sandy on the spot, but do you want to speak anything to the physical restraints to students in this one?
So this was some, there are new regulations from the Department of Education, and they actually will not be fully implemented until August 17th, so for the new school year. But there are some changes to the terms used for timeout and seclusion, and so the expectation is, as a district, we needed to amend any of our school committee policies, and then we will be doing training for all staff with regard to the new recommendations from DESI.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, question. You're saying that you'll be doing training with the staff, regarding the, will you actually be training people though in physical restraint?
No, just changes to the guidelines of what's considered timeout. That's the definitions have changed. So there are some staff that do safety care training, which does involve an element of physical restraint as part of the process, but that's not training that we're doing with all staff. So the change in the definition for seclusion is something that's much different than we've had before in the district.
Right.
So having a door that is closed and a student feels like they cannot leave that space, that's considered seclusion.
Okay.
Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, we have special restraint training.
We do, safety care.
Safety care training.
Safety care training.
Another.
We have
that's getting,
we have a team in every building.
A different topic, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Of course, Mike?
Yes, so did these changes come from DESI or policy?
Well, if it came through DESI.
It came through DESI, and then I would like to, I don't understand the seclusion room. You're putting a student in a room with no one in it?
No, what the Department of Education is saying is that any space that could be considered seclusion. So if I said to you, you're not allowed to leave this cafeteria right now, and we closed the doors, that could be considered seclusion.
Okay.
So it's different than how we've used the terms timeout, or for somebody going for a break for self-regulation. It's just a change in practice for all of us. And so that's why we need to do some training about the change in the terms and what the expectations are. For the seclusion, and you can look more specifically here at the definitions, they're very particular about what is required. If a student did require seclusion, like there needs to be a doctor's note, there needs to be a note from a medical provider that there's no trauma history. There's a lot of things that would be required to be in place, and obviously permission from family or guardian.
All right, then I have another question. It could be a two-parter. You said certain people are trained in the restraint practice. My next question is, physical restraint shall not be used. And there's a bunch of reasons, but number 3, I'm sorry, yes, number 3 at the top of the page, as a response to property disruption of school order, that's fine. But in the last part, which is not fine, but but the last part, verbal threats when those actions do not constitute a threat of assault or immediate serious physical harm. If a classroom teacher is required to determine at the moment if something is a credible threat, and then what do? They call in, because not all the teachers are trained in that.
They would call in for the safety care team.
And then the safety care team could use physical restraints if needed, but again, it's still a judgment call on whether it does constitute a threat of assault or imminent serious physical harm. So that's my concern or question is the classroom teachers who might not be trained can't do physical restraint at all.
No.
They can't.
No, so I'm not sure where you were referring to on that page. Could you?
Top of this page right here, Cindy.
The end of item number 3.
As
number 3, yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a policy question or how that would work when a teacher can't restrain someone, which is fine.
Yes.
But then they have to call in someone to restrain the person, and then that person would have to deem it be an imminent serious physical threat.
Right, so all this words of restraint, that is a last resort measure. And the safety care training we do is primarily focused on verbal de-escalation. So it's focused on the staff being able, the people who are trained, using the de-escalation techniques about how you approach a student, the way you speak to somebody, your physical presence, what's around you. So there's a lot of elements. The very last part of the training and the last resort would be, a physical restraint. But imminent danger is a determination. I think anybody can make a determination if they feel like there's imminent danger. If I threw a pen, that's not imminent danger, but if I threw something, like this, that's full, that could seriously hurt someone. So there are procedures within each of the buildings if somebody felt like they were in imminent danger that they could call for support. But primarily where, students who may possibly act in such a way like that, we would most hopefully have some measures in place where we could see that the student was kind of escalating before that, and then provide them an opportunity to, de-escalate before a situation came to that level.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, I have like a couple simple edit questions and then one more substantive one. On the second page, in the second paragraph, where it says it's crossed out, in the Falmouth Public Schools, prone restraint is prohibited. Is it no longer prohibited to restrain someone in a prone position?
That's never been prohibited. I mean, that's never been okay.
Allowed,
Yes.
allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, so does it say that elsewhere, that it's not allowed to prohibit someone in a prone position?
Yeah, right above,
Okay.
the white line that's already there.
Oh, I see. Okay, I just missed that. All right, thank you. And then on the next page, under item 4, in the paragraph below that, I don't know, it seems to me like there should be the word to in between afforded and publicly. When I read it, it just made no sense until I finally figured out.
Which one, where?
The regulations do not limit the protection afforded publicly funded students under the other state. Is there a to missing? Afforded to?
Right after number 4. The paragraph after number 4. Afforded to publicly funded students. It's still a weird sentence. It is still.
It's a weird sentence, and I
It's a
just
weird
thought maybe it'd be better if it had to in there.
We can look at weird sentences.
Okay.
No, seriously, we don't like to have weird sentences.
Yeah, so that one's weird.
Yeah, it's confusing, so we'll take note of that.
Okay.
Okay?
And then further down on the same page, when it's, and maybe this was mentioned earlier, but the first notice I took of it was in the second to last bullet point there in the middle of the page, when it says mechanical restraint. Is there a definition in here of what mechanical restraint is, so that people reading this policy know what that means? I don't know if it's elsewhere or if I just didn't see it.
I don't know that it's listed elsewhere. So I'm sure we could probably add a footnote or.
Okay, yeah, a footnote, exactly. It was very explicit about most of these forms of restraint, but that one I couldn't quite visualize what we were talking about. And then in the paragraph below that, sort of a consistency thing, you had added the word physical in yellow for physical restraint. And then there are other places where maybe you want the word physical restraint. That's just restraint. And I don't know if you want to go through it and see if there are places where you would like to add the word physical to specify that you mean that, because sometimes you're saying restraint policy or restraint this, and sometimes you say physical restraint. And I thought it was inconsistent to have it added one time, but maybe you meant to do that.
So we should look for other places where physical should be added.
Right, so sometimes you mean that, and sometimes you don't. And,
okay.
And then one last thing, when you changed the word from policy to procedures, is that a new thing and we're referring to procedures for a lot of stuff, or is that, like, have we changed overarching in how we're referring?
There's only a few policies that are required to have procedures with them, and it's usually identified in,
Okay.
not all policies.
Okay, all right. And that is it.
Margaret? Okay. Again, if you have any questions to think of later, please send an email to me. I open my mouth, so I should put my money where my mouth is, right?
Can I ask a future reference question? That kind of editing stuff, do you want me to just write an email to the policy subcommittee, or should I bring it up here where the whole committee can think about it?
It only takes a minute,
Okay.
so it's good for everybody to hear things. Okay. You know, when you get deep in the weeds of things that you're working on, sometimes language gets muddled. Sonia, who's great at unmuddling stuff like that, not going to be around to help us with that, but we'll cry later. Okay. All right, so the next is act on policies. Could we do facilities planning first, because it's just eliminating the policy that we don't have? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, policies that we no longer.
This came to our attention because of the school building committee, and it's actually outdated. It is not what, so we had new regulations in '24, and we just never picked up until we were going through this process and we realized the new regulations. It actually puts this, this old policy that's been on the books out of date. And it's no longer needed because it's it's with the regulations and the charter, it actually goes with the towns.
So we're asked to go on, is there any question, want to make a motion and ask questions, or the other way around?
And ask questions.
Okay, yeah, okay. Kel, any questions? Yep. Chris?
I do, in regards to, do we need one that indicates what, for instance, what MSBA is requiring of us?
It is not recommended that we need anything because we have to follow the law and it's in the charter.
Okay.
So it was recommended we do not need. And this is actually not on mask books anymore either.
Okay, thank you.
Nope.
All right, I understand what you're saying, but I think to Sue's point, he shouldn't leave it facilities planning with like C town charter or some point to have some policy about how we're planning facilities. Would that not make, or to follow applicable laws or something like that? No? Just delete the whole thing?
That was the recommendation. I mean, it's not needed, mask, doesn't have it, it's just a really old policy. Mask actually removed it, I was trying to look at the date, I couldn't remember, it was 2016. So it's just been kind of there.
And the recommendation came from MASC? Is that where it came from?
MASC is that they've removed it, I don't know how we missed it over the time.
And they don't have any placeholder?
There's no placeholder, there's nothing else for it.
All right.
Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second?
Okay. Kel?
Yes.
Lovell, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Cohen, yes.
Bill, yes?
Nevin, yes.
Susie, yes.
Madeira's yes. Okay. So the next policy is visitors to schools.
So we had this as a first read, and the recommendation, I believe, that Katrina, I don't want to call you, but you wanted something in from the old policy to start the paragraph. So the policy subcommittee members discussed it, and this is what they are recommending as the opening sentence. There were no other changes to the policy, and so they voted to bring it back to the full school committee for a vote. So the only addition that you see here that was not there when we had our first read was the school committee welcomes parents, guardians, and guests to visit schools.
Okay. Any other comments, I guess, is it this side? Margaret?
No, I'm ready to hear all the comments.
I can see that it was a token to throw that in, that we welcome parents and guardians to visit, but I think the comments I made were that the first paragraph really specifies why it is, to invite people in is not quite the same as to say that it would be beneficial for you to visit the school and see how we're running things. And I am disappointed that that whole paragraph is not in there, because it's clarifying and inviting and does not undermine the changed policy in any way.
Yes, I have a comment, mainly about the, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. 5 paragraphs down, the yellow, and it happens again on the second page, but it talks about visitors may not record or photograph student or staff without explicit prior permission of the superintendent or their designee. And my concern with that line is more so the PTO, when we're doing yearbook stuff. And I know we talked previously that the designee would probably be the principal or whomever.
It is the principal.
But I do have a concern with the vagueness of some of the some of the lines. You know, because everything else with the photos and stuff, with the student privacy and then the no shoot list, I get that. I am, and I'm not you, but the superintendent or designee, whoever that might be, I do.
In the case of the yearbook,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, the PTO usually does that.
That's what, yeah.
And that the principal would absolutely, because we're putting yearbooks together, I mean, that would obviously be an acceptable reason to be taking photographs, still looking at our no photo list.
Yes, I agree, and I think that it should work most of the time, but there's just with the vagueness of who can do that, because it seems like a big blanketed thing, which that's my concern, but other than that.
I'm sorry, who can do what? Just so that I'm clear.
So, because the language says the superintendent or their designee, so if the PTO was doing something, or if we had an event in a school where, like for instance today, I took pictures of some of the kids and I texted the parents that I know. So if we're at like I don't know, Morse Pond from the PTO, we have the bike guy coming, we just did the play. Morse Pond PTO has cameras, so I just give them to teachers. They take pictures, we get them back, we build a yearbook. And the teachers would be on the top part, but because they would not be a visitor, but a PTO member, without explicit prior permission, it sounds to me that every person would have to get permission every time they're doing something.
I don't think it has to be every time. I think what a principal would be doing in the building is that there are certain activities that they allow.
Yes.
And so with PTO, you know, at a meeting, you would determine through the year, I'm gonna be doing this, this, and this,
Yeah.
and yes, you have permission to do.
Oh, I
think
understand.
it's okay.
I understand that part.
Okay.
It's just more the vagueness of, do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't say like the PTO can do this or school council, and the explicit prior permission, that doesn't say how the permission is getting sent over. Does that make sense? Because it says explicit prior permission, is that written? And like the last one that Sandy just did, shout out to Sandy, it says within 24 hours orally. Yeah, there we go. And then within 3, so that is the vagueness of it is my concern.
We probably have a policy about picture taking and recording that addresses that. This main thrust of this policy is visitors. You can add a request that we look at we have a recording and photographing policy.
Yeah.
So we could look at that, but that's separate.
That's separate, because that's photographing and photography from the school staff member and that kind of stuff. So there's 2 different things, and again, if everything works well, I agree with Dr. Dorr, it should not be an issue, but just because of the way it's written and the vagueness, and it doesn't have points, that's my concern, that's all I have, Terry.
Okay.
So I will say that policy is typically written vague, so that the practices
can move, I know. I don't like that so much.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I had the same problem before, and I said, it's too vague.
The other side of that coin is, if sometimes you're too specific and you forget something, that can get you into a lot of troubles too. So that's why policy is never up to date. You're weighing which is the best way to handle things. And laws change and things change, so you come along and you have to make changes in it. Yep.
I have a clarifying question. Most of this came from Desi.
It's mask. So
mask, I'm
it's
sorry.
their mask. I was getting ready to just say the same thing. So everything in yellow, red with yellow, is mask policy.
I know you had said that before.
Yeah,
so-
that's right,
okay.
yeah. So that's.
All right,
Okay. All right. So Margaret?
No, I was gonna say, my concern would be that if you start putting in specifics, then in fact, that limits other kinds of options. So how would you change it? If I could ask Mike,
If I, real quickly, I will, like, the last policy we looked at some point in time, it said the superintendent or their designee, here we go. Superintendent or designee will develop procedures including but not limited to, and then it kind of has, so it still gives you the option to change stuff, but it gives you, what I'm saying, like a baseline type thing. So I'm saying it doesn't have to be all inclusive, but you could write it so there are some points to say, you have to do this, this, or this, or like in my concern, like PTO, school councils would have that beginning of the year signed or something like that,
I guess I'm wondering though, once you begin to enumerate people, then might you then limit other people out?
No, because then you add in something like not limited to, but these groups would have access at the beginning of the year, something like that, but I just, that's the vagueness, and then in a perfect world it would work, but without like having some points there.
Katrina, did you say what you wanted to already, or?
I did, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to vote against approving it, and I would not want to, but I am so sad that we're not having all this first paragraph about cooperation with the community and understanding and beneficial promotion of greater school-home cooperation. It's just, I just don't think it's enough to say school committee welcomes you to visit, but that's my opinion.
Another thing that policy does where we can is we try to be terse, because there's enough stuff in policies, so sometimes if it's flowery, I mean, maybe that, I don't mean that as a negative description of what you said.
I mean, this policy, I guess the reason I care so much about that is because the policy overall is kind of stark and prohibitive sounding, and it's about the limitations and the authorization, and it's a little draconian in its tone. And so to have a welcoming first paragraph to be like, we do want you to come, and it's important that you understand the school and that you get a chance to see what your students are involved in so you can cooperate with the school better, and it's a beneficial thing and promotes cooperation, and then say all of your strict rules, it lines it up so people don't immediately assume that you don't, that's just my opinion.
Okay. All right, Sue?
I'm just wondering if that language would be more appropriate within the school handbooks and then referencing the policy.
Could be. Because that's more likely, that's more likely gonna get read. I mean, in all likelihood, people are not gonna say, am I allowed to go to the building? And they're gonna look up the policy. They're gonna look at the handbook.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say? Chris?
Oh, I thought we were just gonna.
Yeah, I totally, I jumped in. I know, sorry, that
raise my hand.
yeah, I jumped in.
So first, I just wanted to acknowledge how valuable it is to get public comment about things that are concerning to parents, because for me at least, it makes me really home in on what the concerns are versus, what's being discussed. And it really made me focus on the language of this policy, and it's really just empowering the superintendent to develop procedures, and the policy governed by procedures developed by the superintendent, which is her responsibility to do. So it's not that some people had said, oh, we're gonna have to ask the superintendent every time we want to go into a building. Well, that's not what this policy says. And so I appreciate the concerns, because like I said, it allowed us to really focus, but this is completely what a superintendent should do, which is develop a procedure. So I think this is very good language.
All right, no other comments? Okay, so we'll take, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve policy KI.
A second.
Okay. I forget where we're starting, is it in the
Susie,
bill?
yes.
Okay.
Nevin sadly, no, I'm sorry.
Hamlin abstained.
Cohen, yes.
Augustine, yes.
Voting yes.
Welch, yes.
Maderas, yes. So, it passed.
Terry, can we also ask that Sue's suggestion come back to policy for the handbook? Because I think that's a really great idea.
Sure.
I think that's good too.
Yeah.
Important.
Victoria, would you please add that into the handbook? Or at least have it
That'd be
reviewed
great.
for
Thank you.
consideration on the
Consider,
handbook.
it might not work, but
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
It does say the two
Okay, next on the agenda is to act on Morse Pond Statement of Interest submission to MSBA. Paul, did you want to just say something about that?
Sure, as you aware, and yes, why that we originally submitted for the Lawrence School renovation application, we did mention that under consideration was the closure of the Morse Pond School and moving to combining grades, had 3 grades into Lawrence. And then on October 28th, the school committee voted to, in fact, do that, to close Morse Pond School once the Lawrence renovation has been completed. We now have to, as part of the MSBA process, submit an SOI for the Morse Pond closure. We used to be able to file just a closure statement once you go through the process. And but this essentially takes that next step and puts them, notifies them that Morse Pond will be closed once the Lawrence renovation is done.
I just want to add, so we have it on our agenda tonight, the select board has it on their agenda for April 6th. So on this one, the chair and the superintendent signs, and the select board chair and the town manager signs. So it's the same, exact same statement, but it is on their schedule, or their agenda as well on April 6th.
And this, on that, if this is the statement that is required to be voted on and submitted for the SOI.
So, questions, Cal?
Thanks. So I'm just wondering, after this happens, and after the select board piece, I mean, the statement of interest implies that there's like something else coming. Are they gonna like review it and, is there any next steps? This is just the formal.
This
is the
It's
formality.
it's a compliance.
Okay, all right, I was just curious if that we had to do something else.
Chris?
Nope.
Sue?
No.
No.
Okay, nor I. All right, so, I guess we take a vote.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Margaret?
Yes.
Nevin, yes.
Warren, yes.
Helen, yes?
Augusta, yes.
Lovely, yes.
Love Jess.
And Dearest, yes. So that passes. Okay. Next would be to act on school choice seats.
So moved.
Second. Melissa would approve.
Okay. Are there any questions or? No? Okay, start in the middle. Glenda?
Oh, not right now, but
Sue?
later. Good.
I don't.
Margaret?
Wait, are you doing questions or?
No, we're voting.
Oh, I thought you were doing
sorry, yes.
questions. Oh, I'm sorry. You're like, this is gonna be.
I was with you,
I thought it
Chairman
said-
Dearest, I was with you.
I thought it was questions too, that's
Okay. So I messed
You
up.
did say, are there any questions? People said no, so then I thought we were voting.
Yeah, okay.
And you said wait.
Right, I heard that there were no more questions.
There's no
So-
questions.
no
We were-
questions.
No
Okay.
questions.
So we'll
Unless Glenda
start
has
with
one.
voting
No.
then.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Cohen, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Lovely, yes.
Well, Jess.
Susie, yes.
Nevin, yes.
Warren, yes.
The Dearest, yes. Okay. It's your fault, you elected me, so this is what it is. All right. The next item on the agenda is to act on the Evaluation Subcommittee recommendations. I think that we should get a motion to make this act on be the same as we do on policies and everything. We don't use the word recommendation in conjunction with act on. So,
Do
I
you mean
would
on the
just,
agenda?
excuse me,
Do you mean on the agenda language?
what did I say?
No, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I say that incorrectly?
No, you
No.
said it right.
Okay, do you want me to reiterate what I said? Okay, so when the motion is made to act on this, could it please just be act on change the superintendent's goal number 4? Okay, that reflects what we usually do for act on from subcommittees. We don't usually use the word, we never use the word recommendation.
I'll make the motion to remove the word recommendations from the agenda.
Second.
Okay, so is there any discussion on that? Okay, so we need a vote. Cal?
Roberts, yes?
Loving, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Colin, yes?
Dale, yes.
Nevin, yes?
Susie, yes.
And Madeira's yes. Okay, so would you repeat what the motion is, just to be clear?
The motion was to remove the word recommendations from the agenda item, act on evaluation subcommittee recommendations, so it now reads act on evaluation subcommittee. I guess, right? Is that right?
Well, it would be each piece, right? The evaluation
Right,
subcommittee's
act on.
changes to the goal 4.
Yeah.
The evaluation sent to Margaret, and presentation on the 6th. So it's
Okay.
all that, all 3 bullets.
Okay. All right, so, is there any discussion on this?
Do you want to start it again?
Okay, we start, Margaret, I think it's you.
I think Margaret had some
I was gonna-
information.
Okay.
The presentation, I think you all have the 5 slides.
Yeah.
Oh, I put it up at the top. It's on the, and it's
It's on the board, you all have hard copies too. Superintendent's evaluation. So the first slide, next slide, is the formative assessment evaluation, which was done. So then we're going to move to the summative evaluation, and we're going to be hearing for self-assessment, and I believe the date is included in the packet. Okay, so we met, the evaluation subcommittee met after the mid-cycle formative assessment after committee members met with the superintendent. The main outcome was the school committee level decisions were not completed in time for the superintendent to finish goal 4 as originally written. So goal 4 is still important, but would not work, and work should be continued. So goal 4 can be translated into a 2-year goal. Okay, the new benchmarks. Key action, we oversee the process for the key, okay. She will oversee the process for the Warren School renovation, develop a plan for expanding pre-K without an early child or with an early learning center, communication status and plans to stakeholders. Okay. For 26-27, the key action steps, oversee process for Lawrence School renovation, pending decision with Lawrence School grade configuration, develop a 2 to 4 year process plan for determining changes to Lawrence School and either the high school or the elementary school. Pending decision for an early childhood center, learning center, develop a process for moving attendance boundary lines across the elementary schools, communication status and plans to stakeholders. This change is going to require a vote from the committee. So do I hear a motion?
We've been discussing things before motions.
Okay.
During this meeting, so. Discussion.
I don't think so. I think, so I don't think have we done a 2-year goal before? This might be, whatever. We have, oh yeah, we did.
The
Equity one.
equity goal
Okay.
is actually 3 years.
So this just breaks out which pieces are part of this year, and then which pieces will be held over until next year? Is that, yeah, okay. So no, I don't think.
No questions, no comments?
Well, unfortunately, there's only 5 minutes that's expanded to 5 minutes. So I think there's 2 things at play here. There's the validity of changing this, but then there's also the process. And at the subcommittee meeting, I was participative in the conversation about goal 4, but this process is supposed to be collaborative, and there was also the discussion of perhaps tweaking, very, very minorly modifying goals 1 and 3. Goal 1 is student achievement data, which is being discussed with principals, and the request was to have that also shared with the school committee. And goal 3, which is communicating with staff and sending out surveys and that kind of thing. Also, the request was to have that shared with the school committee. And there was not interest in modifying those goals. So I'm finding myself torn because I do feel like it should be collaborative and a negotiation. And if we're going to be significantly modifying one goal, I think that there should be openness in slightly modifying 2 of the other goals. So that's my concern. That's a process concern.
Mike?
Well, okay. Are we on the whole thing or just this first part? So I have a question for the second part, which, the evaluation process timeline, but I'll wait. So all we're doing here is taking goal 4 and changing it for next year, because we can't give a proper score because the renovation hasn't happened, I feel like is the thing.
I don't think it's the renovation though, I think it's that, I'm not on evaluation, but.
Okay,
Decisions have not made. Decisions have not been
That should
made.
be explained by the committee.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the only difference is you took the develop a plan for expanding pre-K without a learning center to, and then it looks like you added pending decision for an early center, develop a process. All right, so then the process for moving attendance lines is dependent on the early learning center, it looks like.
Can
No.
I speak to this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. The pending decision with the Lawrence and the pending decision with the Early Learning Center was in this year's goal.
Okay.
That wasn't possible for me to do anything with that because there was no decision.
Yep.
Those are the 2 that we brought down. The communicate status is in both, and the overseeing the Lawrence renovation is in both because they're both ongoing.
Yeah.
So I could speak to, from September to March of this year, but because it's an ongoing process, I could also keep it in for next year.
So those 2 are holdovers.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So we'll look at that.
One quick question, I have another one as well, but in the agenda, it says the evaluation should be sent to Margaret Souza, and in this presentation, oh, sorry, Mike. In this presentation, it says it should be sent to Chris.
Okay, can we put that aside? That's another part of it.
Put it aside. Okay, so the main issue that I have here is that pending decision for an early learning center, develop a process for moving attendance boundary lines across the elementary schools. So in my interpretation of that, while we are waiting for a decision about the pre-K center, we should be developing a process for moving attendance boundary lines. We had a meeting in November on that topic. People expressed interest in moving attendance boundary lines, but there was a lot of contentious conversation about the pre-K center. Nothing happened, and then in January when I met with the superintendent, I was told that nothing had happened and that the vendor had not been contacted and no motion had happened on that action step, which was a surprise to me. And I suggested at that time that perhaps part of that action step could be accomplished if you start the process of developing, which would be reach out to vendors, give us an update about who those vendors could be. You could start the process. And the superintendent chose not to move on that, which is your prerogative. But hold on one second. I don't feel that the school committee is responsible for that action step not being accomplished, because it was the superintendent's goal, and between November and now, no progress has been made, but it doesn't feel like if it's our goal and we didn't do anything, that's on us, but if you didn't put it on the agenda, and I expressed that in our meeting, so I hope that's not a surprise.
No, it's just, moving boundary lines is not a superintendent decision, it is a school committee decision. I would not be reaching out to vendors unless I got the direction from the school committee that you're even interested in looking at that. So I got no indication from this committee that you're interested in looking at the attendance lines, or at least not right now. So that is why I did not move on searching for a vendor.
Okay.
Or it does not make sense to search or hire someone if I don't know if it's even a desire of the school committee.
I'm going to push back on that. And the reason is that during that meeting in November, Sue Augusta said, I wish this could happen sooner than 2 years. If that's not an affirmation that you would like to move attendance boundary lines. Now, the other point I will make before I stop being pushy on you is the making of the agenda is something that the chair and the superintendent do together. And I have never in my time on this committee encountered a time where the superintendent didn't feel empowered to work with the chair to put something on the agenda. And so if it didn't come from the chair, but it's not her goal, it's your goal, and it didn't come from you, I don't feel that it is the school committee's fault that that action step benchmark has not moved. And I am not comfortable changing that one because there was time for it to move. And suggestions were made by myself at least, and I don't know about anyone else, but there was an option and an opportunity for it to end up on an agenda before the time ran out.
With all due respect to you, Susan, you may have said that, but again, I don't take direction from one school committee member. I take direction from the school as a whole, school committee as a whole. And that statement says pending decision. So the second half is dependent on the first half before the comma, and it says pending, and there's been no decision on the early learning center.
All right, is there an option? I'm sorry, one suggestion that we could have here is, since we are suggesting ways to amend this goal, can we separate the early learning center from the attendance boundary lines? Because the crisis of small sections in elementary schools is not something that should wait for the pre-K decision, in my opinion. And we have heard over and over again that there is a crisis of too few sections, and moving forward that process of attendance boundary lines should not be waiting for this longer process of the pre-K. It's not a positive outcome for our students to be waiting for us to go through this lengthy discussion on the pre-K center when we can begin the process of moving attendance boundary lines. I think I said in September that I didn't feel, just in a meeting with the superintendent, I did not feel that those two should be tied together, and I still don't feel that they should. So if we are changing these and making it into a goal for next year, I would like to make a motion that developing a process for moving attendance boundary lines is separated from the pre-K center, because I don't think it's fair to the students to have them waiting for us to make a decision on something that has nothing to do with the attendance boundary lines.
Margaret, were you making any comments? Or?
Oh, I have lots of comments. Well, I think there was a misunderstanding. I attended the first meeting. The information about, number one, the process for evaluation, the goals that the superintendent did, we agreed to at a meeting. Now, at that first meeting, there was some contention about, should we share them? Should she do this? Should we tell her to do that? And the second meeting actually was quite pleasant and helpful. I do not recall any of the information that was said at the meeting where we heard about the formative assessment evaluation. There was some misunderstanding about what the formative assessment evaluation was, but that was what happened at that meeting. So I'm addressing that first. The second thing is that I believe it is I don't believe, I guess someone could take time to find vendors to do something, But if the school committee has not authorized that, I don't think, and in my opinion, it's not just related to an early childhood. It's related to just all the other decisions that the school committee is going to make. So before we can just sort of talk about boundary lines, we have to find out what's going to happen to grade 5. Is it going to go back to the elementary school, or is it going to go to the middle school? If that decision is not made, then I think the boundary lines change. And then the other piece of it would be an early childhood center and where that happens. So I think it's the committee's responsibility to make those decisions before the superintendent can do that. Now, that's my understanding of it. What the piece was that she certainly could not do some things that we have not made decisions on. And that's why there's a change to.
Okay. So my comments were, I remember when we were talking about timelines and things in the beginning of the year, a school committee member said, you tell us what you want to do and we'll vote on it. So had Lori said, I want to do this or want to do that, we would have voted on it, but we didn't hear that. So that's one thing that bothers me, that the decision does initiate with us. And the other thing is, changing this thing so close to when we're supposed to be finishing it is really, makes me feel very uneasy. A month before we're supposed to be compiling everything, Dorothy, all of a sudden, we got to change one of the goals. That just bothers me, that it's coming down at this point in time.
Could I just explain, the only piece of the goal we're changing is that we're saying that it's a 2-year goal, it's not a 1-year goal. That's all we're changing. We're not changing any other goals, we're not doing any other thing. The request is that since we have not made decisions, that we change, that we can't hold her accountable. At least, I mean, maybe we can hold her accountable, but it doesn't seem fair to hold her accountable for something that we did not make a decision on and she can't move forward on.
Okay, I think we have to go around again. Where did I start? With Kelly. Kelly, you have another, any comments or?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So, I mean, in my memory, from the start of the year, we had said that we were going to sort of take the same approach that Building Needs took and take one topic at a time, which is why we started with Morse Pond. And then the next thing that, you know, in our structure that we were going to take up was grade configuration. And then when we decided that, then we would move on to pre-K, which would involve a learning center or not. And that we agreed that we were going to sort of take them in that order. And regardless of agendas or not, you know, we went round and round at a number of meetings without making these decisions. So I agree with Margaret. I mean, we can keep the goals the same, but it's a little bit ridiculous to be holding the superintendent accountable for things that she absolutely could not start because we didn't finish our job. Mm-hmm. And I actually don't even understand why this is such a controversial conversation. We've moved slower than we thought we were gonna when we set this path at the start of the year. And it just happens that the formative is falling, you know, so close to when these, you know, this change needs to happen before the end of the year. But it doesn't really seem, maybe I just don't see it. It doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. We chose to move slowly and thoughtfully, and now we're in this spot where we need to tweak. I don't really get the issue.
Okay, that's your opinion? Chris?
So being on the evaluation subcommittee, so it sounds like kind of two things in terms of what we're discussing, where one of them is kind of the change to the goals based on the committee not making a decision, and then also kind of what else was discussed there, which I think I might have missed some because I was a little late in getting to, but in terms of kind of tweaking some of the other goals. And so, kind of responding to the first part, since the school committee, so with relation to the early learning center and the pre-K, since the committee, I mean, for me, that one seems a little more black and white, where we did not make a decision by a given date where the superintendent could act on that. So where we have to modify goal 4 based on that decision. Now, it sounds like this is a topic that the committee will have to take up in terms of discussing moving boundary lines, and whether or not that is related to the early learning center or not. But, essentially kind of mimicking what other members have said in terms of, we have to act as a body. And so what we decide as a body is what the superintendent can act on, in terms of us voting on something that she can take action on. And it sounds like it's up to the committee. If that is something that the committee wants, then that's something that we will need to take a vote on at some point, whether it's near or far future, so that she can act on it. And kind of related to Glenda's, I can understand wanting to kind of tweak that based on what we were talking about. And I guess for me, that seems, because it is very close to kind of the final evaluation, it does make me nervous, kind of mimicking what Terry said. It makes me a little nervous to tweak it at this point, even though it might be something that is beneficial, more so to kind of foster a feeling of collaboration kind of among the full committee, where this might be something that's worth a much more in-depth conversation at the very beginning or during a retreat in the summertime to talk about kind of the full evaluation process. So, I agree with Glenda where I think her points are valid, and I support them. In terms of kind of the timing, I feel like that would be something that would be better discussed either by the committee as a whole, prior to even getting to that initial presentation regarding the evaluation subcommittee, or evaluation process. So, for me, right now, I think it's just a vote to kind of, based on one of the goals being based on one of our decisions that was not made, that's what was tweaked here. But then I think, some of the other points in terms of tweaking the evaluation process and looking at boundary lines related to the early learning center, that might be something that should be more in-depth discussed either during a retreat in the summertime or, at some other discretions of the school committee.
I don't usually go out of order, but since you mentioned me, and
Sure.
could I put a different slant on it? I'm gonna repeat, making a change like this so close to when we're doing it does not sit well with me. And I would look at, I know I heard, we will do what you put forth for us. So I would say that Lori's decision not to put that forth was a good one. I see it as not as a negative thing to comment on. It wasn't the timing, and there was other things. The MSBA was quite a procedure. So I would kind of feel more comfortable saying the first part of it, the MSBA part, I think, it was done and met and everything. And I would say the rest was put aside at her. She made a good choice to not bring it up. So I would look at it where we're at the end of it. That would be how I would think about looking at it. So that's just a different slant on the separations. Okay, so I went out of order, but it was a different slant, so.
And I don't know if it came off as being negative. I wasn't trying to.
No.
I don't know how I presented that, but it was not meant to be that way.
Yeah, I just think it's cleaner and neater to do it the way I described I would like to see, but that's me, okay. So I guess go back to the order of comments.
Okay, I agree completely with Kelly, and in regards to anything any comment I may have made in at a school committee meeting, it was my personal opinion. If I wanted action taken, I would have made a motion, and we would have discussed it at that point, but I was expressing my personal opinion.
Just to clarify what my point was about process, it wasn't that I wanted the other goals at this point to be tweaked, it was the point of give and take and a collaborative process. And so, you know, we all have to be open to collaboration, but it has to be a two-way street. I guess what I'm struggling with, now I want to talk about the substance, is that in November, we got the Navigating the Future Elementary version, and it says next steps, and one was hire a consultant, the next one was assess and revise boundary lines for 3 elementary schools, present recommendations to the school committee, host community forums to share recommendations and gather feedback, present final recommendations to the school committee for approval. So I don't see that any of the, the last one, present final recommendations to the school committee, that is not something in our control. All of those are not in our control. And that was stipulated as next steps. So I guess I'm grappling with, these were assumptions for next steps, and yet they haven't been done. So I'm finding this confusing, and it puts us in a real bind, as Chair Medeiros has said, that it's a month before the evaluation, and this is what we're confronted with.
Has this, and I haven't been on the committee long enough to know this, but has this ever happened before similar to this, Terry?
No, not that I can remember.
We've never had contingent.
Point of order, we have our chair, and we should defer to our chair.
All right, I have a second question, Chair Medeiros. A lot of these decisions are based on the grade configuration, so at what point in time are we gonna vote on that? We've got enough community input, it seems like.
Well, that's another question that's beside what we're discussing right now, Mike, so.
I understand, but it kind of does tie in, because the decision, if the committee has to make a decision on the grade configuration in order for next steps to happen, I have asked it to be on the agenda previously, and it hasn't been yet. So once that decision gets made, I think then that takes away any of our role in action, which was my concern. That's all I have.
I started to make a motion, and I will just explain before I do that once more why I would make this motion. We should have put this on the agenda, so maybe it's a shared burden with the superintendent. Since I found out that there's been no action on it at the end of January, I have tried 3 or 4 times during our meetings to, in follow-up, have us have on the agenda a discussion of moving attendance boundary lines, and this committee took no action on that. And also, the superintendent, knowing that that was a discussion that maybe we should have, also took no action to put it on the agenda. We are here for the students. That is the primary purpose of a school committee member. Delaying moving attendance lines is a disservice to the students in our district. We have students right now at East Falmouth that we have heard repeatedly do not have enough sections of grades. Moving attendance lines is the quickest, possibly painful, but quickest and most effective way to redistribute students and fix that problem. That should not be coupled with the pre-K early learning center. And I think part of the reason that the superintendent did not get a clear indication of how he felt about moving attendance boundary lines in November is because that conversation happened in tandem with the one about the pre-K, which was more contentious. That conversation about the pre-K is ongoing, and it's going to be a long conversation, and I don't think, I will say it again, that we would be doing a service to the students in the district if we make them wait for us to make a decision about the pre-K before we make a decision about moving attendance boundary lines. So I am trying to make a motion here that we decouple those two things in this goal. Whether or not we're moving the goal into next year, I can see here looking at this before I make my motion that we have not made a decision on grade configuration. We've talked about it at length. That's ongoing. That's on us. That makes sense to me. Maybe we should move that into next year. The one on the attendance boundary lines does not make sense to be paired with the pre-K. So the motion that I am going to make is to remove the words pending decision for an early learning center from this benchmark action step so that it would read, develop a process for moving attendance boundary lines across the elementary schools. And my argument for that motion is that that attendance boundary lines is related more to the grade configuration than it is to the pre-K, and it should be a standalone. So my motion again is to remove the words pending decision for an early learning center, and you could choose to put them somewhere else if you want that to still be an action benchmark. And just have it read, develop a process for moving attendance boundary lines across the elementary schools.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, so you're seconding it, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. So discussion, I don't know which side to start on. I think we've been starting over there. Margaret, discussion?
Well, you know, I am going to vote against it simply because you cannot develop, and it's not, for me, it's not related to preschool. For me, it's related to grade configuration and rooms and the reality of what we're doing with schools. So, you know, I'm voting against it, and for that reason, it's not, yes, the pre-K would be part of it, but most of all, we have to talk about, you know, grade configuration, and once we do that, then we can move forward. And it's the same thing with navigating the future. There are lots of things that are supposed to happen, but if you've gone to any of those meetings with the community, often the whole presentation was not ever completed almost because there was so much input from the community. Now I'll use that word.
I'm just going to reiterate that my motion would decouple it from the pre-K.
I have no problem with that.
So
the problem is there's another piece to it.
So, but having the moving attendance boundary lines as its own action step goal, rather than making that wait for us to decide about the pre-K.
Can I just say though, we cannot put that in to evaluate her on something that has not been authorized by the school committee.
What?
For her evaluation this year.
No, this is for next year. This would be, if we are pushing this into next year's goal, let me make that clear, I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry. No, sorry. If we are following this recommendation, or it's not a recommendation, if we are following this idea of pushing this into next year, because I understand that we as a committee did not make a decision about grade configuration. It's impossible for her to meet that goal, and I don't feel that goals in future should be tied to decisions that are reliant on the timeline of the school committee. We did that last year, we did it this year. Let's not do that anymore, because it pushes the school committee into an unnecessary timeline of decision-making in order to meet the superintendent's goals. They shouldn't be tied together. I felt that last year, I feel it very strongly this year. Please don't do that again. What I'm saying is if we are agreeing that indeed we have to push some of these goals into next year, can we please, for next year's goal, not have the process of moving attendance boundary lines be relying on this longer process of the pre-K? Please, for the sake of the students, can we get a move on with the attendance boundary lines and make it clear in the goal that that's its own thing for next year? And we can start on it ASAP and be done with it before next year, and then she's already achieved her goal. Does that make it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused about this myself, because when you're relying on the decision, the early learning center, whether it be a yay or a nay, then that does delay stuff. But my other thing was, getting boundary lines, attendance boundary lines done for both avenues would be more beneficial to make decisions. Well, then you'd be able to see how it would work with a pre-K, without a pre-K, neighborhood pre-Ks, whatever it might be. So that is why I would agree with separating those two things.
I just remain confused about the timeline, where are we with this? We have not discussed it on our agendas, so to say that we haven't moved, when people have asked that these topics be on the agenda, they haven't been on the agenda, I don't think that that's fair to blame the school committee for inaction. I think that some of these steps could have been taken. We should have had something for navigating the future on the agenda every week. And to hear that this was a problem at the end of February, well, we should have heard, oh, well, I can't meet my goals in the beginning, at every school committee meeting, December, that, we have to move on this, or we have to, but to hear it at the end of February, and now we're a month out, I think it just puts us in a really difficult position right now. It's very unfortunate.
I'm sorry, are we still talking about my motion? Because I did make a motion, it's been seconded, so we're discussing the motion to.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
I didn't
okay,
mean to
Glenda.
get on a tangent.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we're discussing benchmarks for 26 and 27 with key action steps, I do have no problem with developing a process for moving attendance boundary lines across the elementary schools. But my main attention is to the fact that this is for 26 and 27.
Yeah, I guess my question is this something that the committee will re-vote on again at the beginning of next year regarding, I guess it's something where, since I've never been part of a process that was multi-year, whatever's voted on here, is it something that would need to be brought back as a vote next year when establishing kind of new goals for the 26, 27? So even if we vote on it here, whatever the process is, or whatever the vote is, I'm assuming there's gonna be a second kind of revisit of this that the committee will vote on. That's my only question. I would, yeah.
Yes, we'll have to go back. I don't support the amendment of separating the two issues for a couple of reasons. One, I can think of, so much more, many other priority items that we could be spending money on rather than spending money to have someone draw temporary lines that we then need to redraw. Because if we shuffle the attendance lines now to solve the problem that Katrina had mentioned with the low sections, which I do agree is a huge issue, that will solve one problem. But then if once we have worked our way through grade configuration and on to the next topic that the school committee has agreed to take up, we might come to the decision to create an early learning center, in which case we would have to shuffle the lines all over again. So not only is that a terrible waste of money, but it will throw families upside down and sideways to have them one year tell them that they're gonna go to this school, and then the next year tell them they're gonna go to a different school. I cannot live with that. It would just, the amount of turmoil it would create for our families is just unacceptable to me. So I can appreciate the desire to solve the problem more immediately, but I think, at the start of the year, we set out that we were gonna take these things in order, and we just haven't gotten there. I don't think it's anyone's fault. I think that we have just tried to be really methodical and thoughtful, and that means slow. And so I don't want to rush the one solution which would solve the problem of the low sections, only to have to turn it upside down, potentially in the future.
Okay.
Terry, may I speak to this? And it's because it's my goals. Like, I feel like you guys are voting.
You want to say something?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Oh, I thought you said, I just want.
No, I didn't, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I was, may I speak for a second? And I normally don't do this because this is a school committee decision, but the goals are supposed to be developed collaboratively. I'm okay if you decide as a school committee, whatever you want to do, but I'm asking you not without our collaboration in developing the goals for next year. So perhaps the answer is just agree or disagree on the 25-26 goals, or leave them the way they are, but not move into the 26-27 goals at all. And I'm just asking you to do that because that's usually a collaborative process about what my goals. I would not feel comfortable separating those two goals. So I would not be able to agree that that would be a goal of mine. It can be a goal of the school committee, that's up to you. But it couldn't be a goal for exactly what Kelly explained. They're together for a reason. I do feel for our families that we would be moving attendance lines and then deciding on an early learning center and then doing that process again. And it's, so I would never want those two to be separate as a goal of mine. I just have to put that out there. So if you just want to vote on the 25-26, don't vote at all. It's fine because it still says pending the decisions and the decisions weren't made. So I couldn't move on to the step, pending decision on early learning center. I couldn't move on to the next step until that step was done. That was the whole reason it was written that way. So either way, I just, please do not decouple, to use Katrina's word, and then say it's my goal. Please don't do that.
So can a little step back and rehash what we're doing here? Somehow I thought we were going to vote on separating them. I didn't think we were going to get into what they were for next year. Did I miss something?
So Katrina's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, when I sat at the committee, I thought it's sort of interesting that we were talking about it extending for next year, because again, superintendent and the committee, wherever that committee is, decides on the goals. But what we're really talking about is that. Can I just say a couple of things though? Number one, I'm not blaming the committee for anything, okay? I also want to remind the committee that actually when we first brought up the goals, it was mentioned that she hadn't mentioned anything about navigating the future in the goals. And so that was added because that was what the committee sort of talked about. And so if we're going to talk about, we're having to do this, and believe me, Susan's saying she'd like it to happen fast. I don't see as a direction. You are the one who failed, Katrina, has given the direction all the time, and we want to talk about that. And I think Kelly's response and my response about, well, what are we going to do with all the other things? You can't do lines until you know these things. So what we really have to do is say, can we change this year? That's all we're voting on. That's all we need to do.
That's what I thought. That's why I took this.
I'm sorry, but I want to, and I'm not blaming the committee, but I wanted to remember that we are the ones that said navigating the future should be on our goals.
All right, if people are uncomfortable with the motion I made, then I will withdraw the motion, and I have something else to say. Do you want me to withdraw the motion?
Once a motion's there, don't you have to vote on it?
No, she can withdraw it.
I withdraw it.
You can withdraw it? Okay.
Okay, so if
Thank
people
you,
don't want that,
parliamentarian.
that's fine. Can I make a follow-up comment?
Sure.
Now, having done that. The other issue with that, the two being tied together, is that not only was the attendance boundary line conversation dropped after November, the early learning center conversation was dropped. And in my January meeting with the superintendent, I also learned that she did not intend to push that forward. And not having had, to sort of to Glenda's point, not having had any update between November to the end of January about where we were with that, and I was just waiting for it to appear on an agenda. We had been on a steady march. Things had been coming to us. We'd been making decisions. There was a lot of progress, and then it all just stopped, except for the grade configuration. And that, as a committee member, I had no understanding of why that was happening, and I was just waiting for it to come up. And then those two things being revealed to me in January, that we're not making any progress on this, and there's no plan to move on that, was a huge surprise. And if I had any inkling that that's what was happening and that's where we were, I would have been making motions at the end of our meetings in December and January. So as an individual committee member, I don't feel that the committee dropped the ball on that action step. And I do feel like the grade configuration is something we've talked about a lot. We've had a lengthy process. We've had staff members come in and speak to us. That has been ongoing, and we're still working through that. So that is on us. I feel that it's still ongoing and that goal is not met. But the other one, total mysterious disappearance of that action step, and then to find out so late in the game and to have no momentum or impetus from anyone other than myself to put it back on the agenda is frustrating, and I personally will not take responsibility for that one.
Okay. Cal?
So, I guess throughout the year, I have been coming back to the path that we set out at the start of the year, when we all agreed that we were going to take up one thing at a time so that we weren't constantly in the throes of talking about 7 things that were all interconnected. So in my mind, we weren't going to move on to attendance boundary lines or preschool until we solved grade configuration. That we had agreed as a group, we were going to take first Morse Pond, then grade configuration, then the early learning center. And that was the flow. So I wasn't anxious. I can see how you'd be really frustrated, because if I was waiting for the things to be happening simultaneously, I would have been frustrated too. I was just working from the assumption that we were going to take one, and then the next, and then the next. So that's, I don't know if that's helpful, but we agreed that that's the process we were going to follow. So that's just sort of where I've been assuming we were going to go.
Okay, so back to voting on the.
We haven't had a motion.
I know, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to get how to phrase this. I guess the step now would be to vote on separating the 2 sets of benchmarks, correct? So we need a motion to.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the new key action steps for 25-26. And then leave it at that, as Chris mentioned, and let the second part kick over to next year when they have to do it, when evaluations deal with that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Do we need to discuss this anymore, or?
I have a clarification question. Do we know, can we see side by side, what's the difference in the current 25-26 action steps and this list of 3?
The only 2 pieces that were also in the 25-26 was the pending decision and the pending the 2 pending decisions.
So just deleting those 2. Okay.
Okay, so I guess are we ready to vote then?
I'm sorry, just to clarify. So are we voting to both accept the proposed 25-26 modifications and to extend them into the next year for these?
No.
What are we voting on then?
I was saying that we would vote to accept the 25-26 key action steps and then just kick the rest of it to next year for them to solve when they set the goals for next year.
So actually, all we're voting on is the 25-26 key action steps.
That's just, I was trying to solve the problem.
Is that
Is that okay?
That's the motion.
Okay, if that's not acceptable to people, I'm happy to shift. I was just trying to solve for the comments about not weighing in on next year's goals.
Okay. I'm afraid to do this, but let's vote. So I don't know where to start. Let's just start
Yes.
random.
Susie, yes.
Okay, Mike?
Well, this is gonna drive Sharon, mate.
But we're gonna go around. I mean, we're just actually. It's
I'm always thinking of you, Sharon.
Oh, it's my vote? I'm sorry. I don't, healing, no. I don't see the difference, but no.
Okay. Katrina?
I would prefer to have the decision on attendance boundary lines in the ones for this year, because also she was waiting for us to tell her that we wanted that. And that implies to me that that was not a process that had been put off until later on purpose. So, to Kelly's point, I'm sorry, I'm trying to clarify why I'm voting no. Is that right? To Kelly's point that we were following a process, I may not have realized that, but at the same time, there was waiting on the behalf of the superintendent for us to indicate that we wanted to continue that, which implies to me that that could have happened simultaneously, and so I feel it should still be, it should not be pushed off onto next year. So no.
Margaret?
Yes.
Vote yes.
A big yes.
Augusta, yes.
Oh, no.
Madeira's no. And I'm saying no because I just think it's ill-timed and like I said, I'm going to handle the things that didn't get done in a different manner. And if you don't like it, well, I
can't translate it.
Oh, that's my watch. That's my watch, which I never look at it and heard me talk about. No, I'm voting no. Sorry. I'm voting no. So I don't know what the count is.
Well, I'll tell you,
It doesn't
that,
pass, so.
that means that the motion has failed, and that means that people are going to be evaluating the superintendent on things that she was not authorized to do.
Wait, no, how many voted yes?
4 and 4.
It's a tie, it
Oh,
4
fails.
and 4, so the motion did not carry.
And then the next thing is the evaluation process, slide 4 or 5.
No, but I hope everyone realizes that what you're saying is you're now.
Point of order, Chair,
Yeah,
the vote
Margaret.
happened, we can't
Right,
keep on,
right.
because that's against the ethics of
This is
the
what
thing.
we work on. Once a vote is taken, you just, that's it. Okay.
But Chairman Harris, is it, we're gonna vote on the next slide of the evaluation process?
Yeah, because I'm trying to find the bullet, Mike, to read it, okay? The evaluation should be sent to Margaret instead of Glenda.
Or to Chris instead of Glenda.
Yeah, well, Chris is going to do the counting of the, and I'm going to review.
Okay, I'm just reading what the bullet says. Okay. It says in here, evaluation should be sent to Margaret Souza instead of Glenda Cohen.
But this says to Chris, so I just want to make sure we know where we're sending it.
It really needs to be sent to both of us.
Okay.
Wait, is a quorum of a 3-member committee allowed to do that together?
No, it has to go to one member.
Yeah, it can only go to one member because it kind of smacks of open meeting law.
Yeah. That was the guidance we got last year.
Yeah, yeah, it just has to be one person. So the slide says, Chris?
You're getting them.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I was wondering, because I remember when I did it with Kelly one year, I think it said on the schedule that one received it and then it was sent to the other one for review.
Yeah, like double check.
Yeah, so I didn't see that in the, but I don't know if that's something that can be added in there in terms of it being sent either to Margaret, to me, or
No, we
me.
sent to you.
Okay, so Chris.
All right, and then The superintendent's evaluation presentation is moved to April 6th. Okay. Is that because we had the town meeting date wrong? Okay, yeah. Because this is classically held in the library before the town meeting in the Lawrence School. Okay, so now are we going to see this, Margaret, or no?
We did already, no.
Okay, all right, I didn't look at that. Okay. So the next item on the agenda
No, we
is,
have to vote on that.
on what?
The changes are part of the
Oh,
vote.
change in the timeline, okay, sorry. All right, so is there a motion to, well,
So I'll make a motion
Second.
to do those two things as presented on this.
okay. There's no discussion yet, Mike?
I just have one question. Did the date change get run by the superintendent?
Yes.
Okay.
But we didn't have a choice because
Okay, so I wanna make
it was
sure.
wrong on our agenda that we were actually having a meeting on April 13th, which we are not. The meeting's actually,
Just want to make sure.
yeah, but thank you for that, yes.
Okay, so voting on moving the date to April 6th, Cal?
Welch, yes.
Lumping, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Owen, yes?
Keon, yes.
Nevin, yes.
Susie, yes.
Sedaris, yes. Okay. So that's it for our votes. Everyone sent it, just to reiterate, you're sending them to Chris, and the process will be done on April 6th. Next item on the agenda is to act on the Cape Cod 5 mini grants, FY26 totaling $3,460.
Motion to accept the grant.
Second.
Okay. Before a vote, Lori, do you have anything to add about it? or-
We have, there were 8 people that were getting grants on the, I don't know if you want to know what the grants were, the projects were or not, I do have that information.
That's good news, yeah.
Yes, okay.
That would be nice to hear.
All right, so a teacher easel, I See Me in Speed, I'm not even sure what that is, the Nibble Nook, the math, for the math team, Places We Will Go, Hope Squad, Rain and Snow, that got cut off, I don't know what happened there. And then Seeing the Science project. So all kinds of things, math team and science and
That's awesome.
reading and
stuff. All right. So are we ready to vote then? Okay. Margaret?
Susie, yes.
Nevin, yes.
Keon, yes.
Owen, yes?
Augusta, yes.
Lumping, yes.
Welch, yes.
Maderas, yes. Okay. Act on FY26 Lovell Future Fund Grant, $4,000 Science Department.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, Lori, will you speak to that?
yes, they are updating some of their equipment, and the purpose is to separate DNA, RNA, or proteins by their various sizes, commonly used in bacteria and microorganisms in research placids, and detect harmful bacteria such as, I can't say that, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna skip that science word, in insects, and someone else might be able to know what that is. Anyway, so it's a science and it sounds very interesting, I think the kids would love that. So we need to update our material, and it's a grant, so that's great.
Okay, so I'm gonna go wild and start voting myself this time. Maderas, yes.
Owen, yes?
Augusta, yes.
Lumping, yes.
Welch, yes.
Susie, yes.
Nevin, yes.
Keon, yes.
Okay, unanimous, thank you. Next is to act on a donation from the Arts Access in the amount of $1,680.
I make a motion
Second.
to accept.
Okay, are there any information, Lori?
Yes, it's a donation to Jane Baker's class to support the Honors Art and AP Students Field Trip, the Harvard Museum of Art History, the Fogg Art Museum, and the SOWA District in Boston.
Having been on one of those trips this year, I can't say enough. The kids work really hard at each place they go. I mean, they just focus on the art and drawing, and it's just wonderful. And there's a lot of work that has to go into coordinating that, so I always like to say thank you to Jane, and my mind just lost the English teacher's name too. Lauren Penning, okay. There's a lot of paperwork to get that ready. So anyway. Voting, let's start with, Margaret?
Yes.
Never, yes.
Gail, yes.
Joan, yes?
Augusta, yes.
Lovell, yes.
Welch, yes.
Madeira's yes, okay. Act on the 214 Econo van, E150, the VIN, do I really have to say the VIN? Yeah. VIN number 45814S surplus.
This vehicle has 249,000 miles and would be too costly, to repair. The registration has not expired yet, but it's unable to get the inspection passed.
Well, let's not put kids in that.
Yeah.
All right, so vote to name it as surplus. Cal?
Welch, yes.
Real quickly, someone has to make a motion.
I make a motion.
Oh, I thought you
Second.
did, I'm sorry.
Katrina Heelan. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Welch, yes.
Lovell, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Joan, yes?
Heelan, yes.
Never, yes.
Susie, yes.
And Madeira's yes, okay. Routine business. Act on the minutes of March 10th, 2026. Is
Make
there
a motion to approve the orange ones at our seat.
That was oranges?
Oh,
Orange, salmon? What are we gonna call it?
This is good.
yeah. Sharon, can you give us a quick update on a change or?
Kelly mentioned that Katrina had asked for more items to be discussed, and so I added 2. I believe it's at the last page.
Okay.
I think it was protocol for legal counsel was new.
So we're adding 2 more requests for that Katrina made?
Correct.
All right,
I listened to it.
okay.
Thank you, Kelly.
No problem.
Okay, so with that edit, is there a motion to accept these?
I made a motion to accept the orange ones at our seat.
Okay.
Yes,
I second that, pretty short.
Okay, all right, Kelly?
Welch, yes.
Lovell, yes.
Augusta, yes.
Joan, yes?
Heelan, yes.
Never, yes.
Susie, yes.
And Madeira's yes. Okay, are there any committee reports?
Oh, we actually have one. Yay, Chris and Mike and I.
Oh, yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, we all 3 finally
Good
got
time.
to student advisory. It hadn't happened, but all 3 of us were there yet this year. This was the last one. We all managed to be there. And Lori and Sonia and Carmela were all there as well. And it was a great meeting. There were a lot of kids. And do you want to add anything?
Dr. Harris was there,
Oh, Dr. Harris was there. Yes, that's true.
and we discussed good stuff with the kids. The kids had some good ideas about absenteeism, and yeah, good time.
Talk about sports. It's always nice to be with them.
And I think one thing that kind of stood out was kind of related to the DESI reports, is how we handle absences versus how the state handles absences, where from the state's perspective, it's a little more harsh in terms of where any absence, whether it's medically excused or non, is all lumped together, whereas as a district, we handle them separately. So where it would just look worse from the DESI standpoint in terms of absences. So that was just kind of one example that was really interesting. That kind of just stood out in my mind.
Okay, thank you for an update, especially about kids. Okay,
Well, I have one too.
yeah,
So on last Thursday was an LCAP meeting that hosted the Cape Cod Council of Churches and Latinx in Action. It was via Zoom, and I will tell you what it is about when I go to the English version on April 9th, because it was in Portuguese, and I understood very, very little of it, but I still thought it was important to, be there, and as I told Henry, like, it's good to be reminded of why translation and interpretation are so important, and you can't really feel it until you sit in a meeting for an hour and you have no idea what's happening. So it was a good exercise, and then come April 9th, I'll tell you what it was about.
Any other committee reports? I guess I would say, the collaborative is a great place, but it's gonna be even greater.
I know.
Because, we're gonna have another person from the great place of Falmouth go there and offer what they learned in Falmouth to them. Okay, by Sonia. We're gonna miss you, Sonia. And when you were going, when I read your thing, it was beautiful as an English teacher would write something. And do you remember, was it room 220 that we were next door to go? Sonia and I taught, and that was in the smelly days whenever we were on the end of the building where the HVAC system was or whatever. And literally your clothes would come out smelling like that stuff. And we were in, we won't say what year, will we, Sonia? No, okay. But anyway, so.
When's Sonia's last day? Or when are you leaving us, Sonia?
Yeah.
At the end of the year, June 30th.
Okay.
You and Sharon? Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe a cake.
Yeah. I already told him.
Celebratory cake. To celebrate.
Okay. Request for follow-up? Anybody?
Sort of apropos to what Kelly had mentioned, I think I asked several months ago, I would be very interested in having the director or the team that provides the EL services come to talk to the committee, to talk about the EL program.
Okay. Yep. Mike?
I've asked, I want to do the grade configuration. It came up earlier, which is one of the big things. So I would like to make a motion that we discuss and act on the grade configuration at the next meeting.
Next meeting is town meeting, short one.
The following meeting, the next full meeting.
Okay, so you made a motion.
To discuss and act?
Yeah.
No, I won't second that, sorry. It's just.
And possibly act?
Discuss and possibly act.
We never have that on the agenda.
So my concern is that the whole process seems to be tied up on this grade configuration. And we have received numerous public input. We got information from Sonia at the last meeting of the roundtable, and we have more surveys in. So if that is the only thing holding up, holding the next phase back, we need to act on that sooner than later.
Okay, so you've made a motion, so we have to vote on it, correct?
Well, nobody seconded it.
Someone has to second it first.
What is the motion exactly? To discuss or to discuss and act?
Discuss and possibly act.
To discuss and
Can we say
possibly
that?
act. Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Okay,
Leaves it open.
all right. Kelly?
Yeah.
Wasn't seconded.
Loving yes.
Wait, who seconded it?
Wasn't seconded.
Oh, glad to second it?
I'll second it.
Love, yes.
Loving yes.
Augusta, yes.
Cohen, yes?
Helen, yes.
Megan, yes?
Susie, yes.
Okay, but dearest, you know what? I'm gonna abstain. All right.
Is that it now?
That's it.
Okay, so on the same line, I am going to make a motion to what is it? Sorry, whoops, I lost it. To discuss and act on a school committee survey of families regarding the grade configuration at Lawrence School. That would be at our April 6th meeting agenda. And for the survey to go out, hopefully in the school emails, like a school committee survey from us to the families in the school email prior to the vacation? Is that possible? If we have it on April 6th?
You have 45 minutes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It would be the Friday before vacation, I guess. Or no, we have our meeting on a Monday. If we voted and acted, then it could go out in that Friday email before vacation. Because Mike is doing
Is that
his.
Friday just simply one day? Is that Good Friday or is it the whole vacation?
Well, it'll be their end of week email.
It's just Good Friday? Yeah, it's separated from the vacation.
Okay, so the motion would be to place on our April 6th agenda, discuss and act on the school committee putting out a survey of families and staff regarding grade configuration at Lawrence School.
I'll second it.
Okay. That's just a yes or no?
Just a yes or no, do we want to put out a survey so we can hear you know, more than what I got
Would
from
we
them.
hear who would write it, or,
I don't know how that process works, to
Yeah.
put out a survey, we've never.
excuse me?
I think it would be you.
It would be me writing it?
Well, with other people could collaborate, but, because that's what Sean had said from Mass, that we could put us on.
Maybe you,
service.
Glenda, and Melissa?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, the three officers.
You gonna start with
No, are you okay to
I'm
do?
good, I'm good. I'm good
Okay,
with that.
and Melissa's not here, so we can make her do what we want? Okay, all right. All right, so that's the motion. Any comments? Yeah?
Is this a discuss and possibly act or discuss and act?
Well, the goal, now that Mike has put his thing in, the goal would be to get back feedback. We've only gotten 2 people saying that they want 8th grade in the high school. I would like to hear from more people, you know, because I did the newspaper and we got a bunch, but, you know, it'd be better to just let it equitably go to every single parent in the district and have that be formal from all the committee, hopefully before we make that decision.
And
That's
all
my
it would
goal.
cost would be the 3 officers' time, right? Because it's an email, correct? All right.
Well,
It has to be compiled once it comes back.
Yes,
Some
sir.
work.
Well, that's what I meant, the 3 officers'
Well,
time.
we can hash out the logistics when we have the discussion about it.
Yeah.
But just having it on the agenda is what you're
Right, just-
asking. Okay.
Give it a chance before we make our decision.
Okay, so,
I'm just wondering if that April 6th meeting has enough time allotted to, there's already something that's on the agenda for then, right?
it's the superintendent's evaluation.
And you only have so many minutes before the start of town meeting.
Although we're having a lot of the conversation now, so it might just be a yes or no then. I don't know.
Yeah, Margaret?
Well, the other thing I think is,
I'm sorry, Mike really had his hand up first. We haven't been doing hands up, but
go ahead.
I said one thing that, and I agree with what Sue's saying, and what we've done in the past is get our packets the Friday before, so this is putting a lot on you 3, but if you could have the survey done before that meeting, then all we're doing is a yay or nay, it would not be that time constriction.
Ooh, I have an idea.
No, it's Monday now.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Margaret.
so Glenda and I and Melissa will do that.
Yeah, I think making a survey and, you know, doing, you know, those kinds of things take considerable amount of time and thought. So if we're gonna see it, I think we need time to really evaluate it, and I think the April 6th meeting is gonna be an abbreviated meeting at best. You know, it's just a time frame.
Okay, those are the comments. Now is a vote, because it's a motion, right? Oh, Chris, you want to say something else?
It was more just a clarifying question. So this is the committee to vote to
Send out the
put out,
survey.
send out a
Send out a
survey?
survey.
Okay, gotcha. So it's not, we're not gonna get one to look at?
Yes, you're going to get it beforehand.
Okay.
But not at that meeting.
Not at that meeting, no. We'll get it out before.
Days before.
Okay, so it's just a vote, just to have the 3 officers put out a survey, and then we'll have a discussion.
All right, any other clarifying? Kelly?
I like the idea, I just wish we would have thought about it earlier. I'm not comfortable with the timeline, it seems too fast to me, so.
Can I'm sorry,
just gonna say
before people vote, can I offer an alternative? I have asked for it many times, it's been discussed in public meeting, we could just vote on it now. It would not be breaking open meeting law, it's been discussed numerous times, I've made requests for it. I think it's conceivably fine for us to vote on it now, and then we wouldn't have to do it on April 6th, then we would have more time.
But they haven't seen what we've written yet, so.
Who?
Yeah.
No, then you would put the survey together and we would see it on April 6th, I think.
We'd have to vote again, so.
You'd have to vote
It
again.
wouldn't make that much of a difference, but yes.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
So,
No, just because it gets too rushed, okay.
Lumping yes, as long as the officers are okay with that.
so,
No, because I don't think it gives the officers enough time.
okay.
Yes.
Pam, yes?
Yes.
No, because of the time frame.
Okay, yes, I say yes. So how many is that?
5:30.
Okay, so we'll be busy. All right.
I'm
Any
sorry,
other
there was,
follow-ups?
yeah, the same ones from last time that you guys didn't want me to make motions on, so, sorry. I make a motion to place on a future agenda item, I don't have a specified date, but soon-ish, a discussion of returning the administration building to the town. Just discussion, no action.
I'll second for discussion. I have discussion. The motion that you had made discusses giving the school, the administration building back to the town. Would you be friendly to amend that to something more so of future options for the administration building? Because it's pigeonholing us.
Oh, sure. So discussion of future alternative uses for the administration building. Is that better?
I will second that, yeah.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Okay, a vote, oh, Chris?
Just a question, you know, I'm just, you know, I don't know what the remaining committees, kind of schedule looks like in terms of what we have on the agenda to discuss, so, you know, I'm just bringing that up in terms of if we have enough time, if that's something that's as critical to deal with right now, or?
It's not time sensitive, so I didn't give a timeline for when, if that helps, but.
Okay, I know, Lori, may I say that Lori and I had a discussion that we've talked, is that all right for you? Yeah. And the town is, not.
They're not interested at this time.
They're not interested at this time, right now.
They are also taking one step at a time, and their next step is to study the Morse Pond School, so.
I would think, could I ask you to make that motion after we're done with the grade configurations and the other things?
Okay, I just keep trying since October, so.
Okay.
All right, fine, we'll put that one on hold.
Okay.
It might
withdraw the motion.
It might be best for the new members of the school committee, the new configurations committee to take up.
I bring it up again and again because select board members have told me they are interested in that building. So I don't know who the town is in this instance, but select board members have expressed interest, and so that's why I keep.
I think it's a valid point of discussion, but I think it would be fair to have new members, because we're gonna have two new members.
Okay, all right, withdraw that one, we're on to the next, we're trying to get done here.
Yeah.
Oh, so the attendance boundary lines was the other one. Make a motion to discuss hiring a consultant or vendor to examine redrawing boundary attendance lines for the elementary schools. And that would be examine what it would look like with fifth grade in the elementary school or not, what it would look like if we had 3 elementary schools or not. It's just examine and look at it. And I hear Kelly's concern about cost, but I'm still gonna make that motion, to have a discussion about it, because we started it in November and we never picked it up again, and I think we should just give ourselves the opportunity to discuss it and find out how we feel about it in a proper venue.
I'll second it. Discussion only?
Okay, is there any discussion on it? Okay. I kind of think we're gonna get some of that information when we're in the feasibility, because the town meeting is gonna vote it, I'm saying that, you know, vote the money. I kind of thought from what I read amongst stuff we got from them that will be kind of things that they do, too, am I?
They do an enrollment,
They do.
part for the whole district.
Right, and I think they
part of the
do,
feasibility.
people have said about fire or department rules for amount of numbers of people in the building, and they didn't think that was enough. I think they also do educational,
that is part of it.
there's educational.
The educational piece will be for the Lawrence.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, can I amend my motion?
So they'll be doing that, I think, somewhat, so.
Okay, what I'm interested in, what I'm angling at here is to give the opportunity for us to discuss whether or not moving attendance boundary lines as a concept after 20 years of not doing that is something that the committee is interested in. So take out the vendor. Can I make a motion to place a discussion of whether or not moving attendance boundary lines, I don't know how to phrase this, a discussion of moving attendance boundary lines to a future agenda?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, a vote. Margaret?
Yeah, I think we could vote today. I don't think that's an issue for any of the school committee members.
So how are you voting?
Yes, yeah, have a discussion. Vote today.
Nevin, yes?
Keon, yes?
Cohen, yes?
I mean, yes.
No, I don't think we should be taking things out of order. I want to deal with the first thing first.
Okay,
Not opposed to it, I just want to deal with things in the proper order.
all right, Madeira's yes, so, there.
Sorry to hold you all up with that. That's the new way that Sean and Glenn proposed, and it takes time. Sorry about that.
Okay, after we voted, then we're all set, right? Okay. Any more? Motion to adjourn then?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
This guy.
Guess who's
Seconded, everything on.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. I got in trouble for not doing that.